So let's take a look at actually exactly what PM Plus is and the 5 sessions and what we will be training to once you start the training. So that very first session is the introduction to PM Plus and the managing stress. So this is one of those core strategies that we talked about just a bit earlier. Introduction and confidentiality. We talk about confidentiality throughout PM Plus, and what you're going to notice as we go through these 5 sessions, you're going to notice in parentheses there's a time. So here we have 5 minutes. 5 minutes is about the amount of time that you would be using to train and talk about the introduction and confidentiality. And then the second is review the assessment and the Cyclops, which we will go over in another separate video. That'll take about 10 minutes. Do a review of what is PM Plus, understanding adversity, and then that managing stress strategy. So this is where we'll actually teach you the breathing strategy, a way that you will help regulate your entire system. And then we will assign an action plan. So we'll put together an action plan at the end of every single session, and it'll be very specific. When can you practice? What does that practice look like? How are you going to remind yourself? And then when you come back for session 2, we'll actually review that activity plan. The second strategy is managing problems. This really becomes sort of the meat and potatoes of PM Plus. It's a 7-step cycle. And again, we're always going to start with that general review, and then we're going to do the Cyclops, which we will talk about in another video. And then you can see 70 minutes. The vast majority of this session is walking around this 7-step cycle. There's a workbook that accompanies, so you'll be able to look at each one of those steps. We walk around each of those steps with a problem that the client identifies. The problems are never identified by the helper. It's always driven by the client, and the client gets to make the decision about the problems that they would like to work on so they can learn the strategy successfully. And then we do that review of managing stress. It doesn't necessarily need to fall in this order. It's possible that if somebody comes in and they've had a stressful week, you could actually start with managing stress. You might do that breathing exercise before you even get started. And then we wrap up the session. We do that action plan once again, and then we will check on that when we come back for strategy number 3, which is get going, keep doing. Once again, the general review. Then we'll do that Cyclops. Then we're going to look at that cycle one more time. We're going to go through the managing problems to see how that went, check on that action plan, and then we're going to introduce get going, keep doing, which is that overview of the inactivity and the activity cycle. We'll teach that to our client. That'll take about 35 minutes. Then we're going to do that managing stress so we can practice one more time. And then we'll wrap up the session and create the action plan for get going, keep doing. And then session 4, strengthening social supports. We start exactly the same, 5 minutes, managing problems. You can see it's a little less in session 4, 20 minutes. Then we're going to review get going, keep doing. And then we're going to introduce the 4th strategy, which is strengthening social supports, with some diagrams, working with the client and talking specifically about their support system. And then one more time, we're going to do the managing stress. Again, it's placed at the end. In this diagram, managing stress can be practiced anytime during a session. And then we create that action plan around strengthening social supports. And then we move into session 5. Session 5 is all about staying well. So it's taking these 4 strategies and talking about the way that you can continue to implement those. What might be your favorite strategy? What might be the one that you like the most? Which one is the one that might have caused you most difficulty? So we do that general review. We talk about staying well. We might even imagine how you might use these strategies to help other people. And then we look to the future. This is likely the most challenging session for the client because it's also the session that we need to say goodbye because we're wrapping up 5 sessions. And so this is the one that I think can be challenging, and sometimes we end with um, an act of gratitude or what did you really appreciate about the training? And again, high end overview. We go through all of these steps once you get into training. And I hope that this is enough information that you at least can get the basic understanding of what PM Plus looks like and all 5 sessions. And that's what we need to cover for this video. Thank you.